Hi, I'm Billy Smith, owner of Billy's Midway Arcade in Hawthorne, New Jersey. Today I'm going to talk to you about my very first electromechanical pinball machine, Bally's Old Chicago from 1976. I first laid eyes on this Old Chicago when I went to my nephew's friend John's father's house in the late 90s. It was like that scene in Weird Science where they walk into Gary's parents' house and there's an old Chicago pinball machine just sitting in the living room. Much the same. I walked in the house and there sat a pinball machine. It was the first thing that greeted me. A few years later, my nephew calls me and says, "Hey, do you want John's Old Chicago?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So we went up to his house with my van and went around the back. It had been dismantled and it was underneath a deck. Mice were living in it. Has a hole in the side of the head where the mice had gnawed through to build a little mouse motel up in the head. Had stuffing from pillows or cushions or something all across the play field. Loaded it into my van, brought it home, put it in my garage and started to clean it out. Little by little, I got the pieces and put it back together again, cleaned it up, and believe it or not, it works. It works very, very well and has been working here at Billy's Midway since we opened in 2018. Old Chicago is very unique for its time period. Other pinball machines typically have out lanes to the outside and in lanes to the inside, where the balls will drain if you get down in the out lane, but the in lanes will direct the ball onto the flippers. Old Chicago only has one pair of lanes. They will drain if you go into them. You have to get the ball to the other side of the lane in order to get to the flippers. Makes it a little bit more of a challenge. Old Chicago's playfield is arranged unusually. 2 flippers at the bottom, pair of lanes where the ball can drain, 5 pop bumpers, 2 at the bottom, 3 at the top, 5 drop targets off to the right hand side, 3 standing targets, 1 spinner, 2 saucer holes where you can lock the ball and it will either add a bonus, giving you score, or collecting a bonus, your Old Chicago letters up the middle that you've lit up. Very, very unique playfield. Old Chicago is also interesting because it's one of the very last purely electromechanical pinball machines made by Bally. In 1977, Bally started transitioning into making part of their production line as solid state using all microchips, and some of the games were produced as electromechanical. Really not very sure about if this solid state thing was really going to work or not. Obviously it did. Games surrounded by other games that are solid state. It was the wave of the future, and unfortunately electromechanicals were going to end very soon.
Many people don't give enough credit to some pinball machines. The average person who's looking to play pinball may walk by an old electromechanical game and dismiss it, but each one has a particular charm. Old Chicago is an electromechanical pinball machine released by Bally in 1976. The center back glass figure with the monogrammed pocket handkerchief is meant to be gangster John Dillinger. He was gunned down by federal agents in front of Chicago's Biograph Theater in 1934, betrayed by brothel madam Anna Sage, real name Anna Campanis, the legendary Woman in Red. Sage is also depicted on the back glass wearing a red dress and looking youthful, although she was 45 years old and reportedly wearing a bright orange skirt and white blouse when she, Dillinger, and his girlfriend Polly Hamilton exited the theater into an FBI ambush. In the Encyclopedia of Pinball Volume 1, Sage is misidentified on the back glass as Billy Frechette, another Dillinger girlfriend, who after his death toured with members of his family. Artist Dave Christensen concurred at Pinball Expo 2004 that he intended the Woman in Red to be Sage and no one else. Also on the back glass is a reference to the SMC Cartage Company garage at 2122 North Clark Street, where the St. Valentine's Day Massacre occurred in 1929. And now, here's how to play. After you shoot the ball, you have a variety of goals. Knocking down all 5 drop targets will illuminate either the special or the extra ball inserts. Knocking down the drop targets again will earn you a special, which could be a free game, or an extra ball depending on the operator's settings. The two out lane inserts will alternate between special on the left lane or extra ball on the right lane. There is a limit of 1 extra ball per play. Some targets and rollover switches will add to the Old Chicago bonus as lit in the middle of the playfield. When the ball hits the spinner, you build up points. Lighting up the Old Chicago lights when a player's score exceeds 99,990 points, a buzzer sounds and a lamp illuminates to indicate that your score is over 100,000 points. Some rollovers and saucers will also change value based on targets and bumpers being hit. Depending on operator settings, on the third and possibly the fifth ball, the game will score a double bonus as indicated by the green insert just above the flippers.
So now that you know a little bit about Old Chicago, come on down to Billy's Midway and give it a try.